Hello and welcome back to yet another video on the Alejandro Hernandez podcast, and today I'm going to be giving you guys my grade for the Las Vegas Raiders hire of Pete Carroll, and I'm actually grading this very highly. I'm grading it a B+. I believe that this was the second best hire of the 7 head coaching hires that were made this offseason, and I'm really optimistic about the Raiders heading into 2025 given the head coach that they hired. I believe that Pete Carroll, if there was any coach available candidate around the league that had the ability to turn around an organization, a dysfunctional one like the Raiders have been for the past couple of years, for the past decades, I believe Pete Carroll has the ability to do so since he has done it already in Seattle. And I believe that he is second to none in the NFL in terms of scouting defensive talent, especially young defensive talent, and the way that he constructed the Legion of Boom in Seattle. I feel like he's going to have the opportunity to do that now with Las Vegas. And I believe that he's very old. I believe he's now the oldest active head coach in the NFL. He didn't come back to coach in the NFL to lose games. I believe he came back because he truly believes that he has the ability to turn around this team and turn them into a playoff contender once again in the AFC. And I believe that the AFC West is now such an interesting division given that they have 4 of the most experienced head coaches in the NFL. They have Andy Reid in Kansas City. They have Sean Payton with Denver, Jim Harbaugh with the Chargers, and now Pete Carroll. So they have, I believe, the four of probably the top 5, top 10 head coaches in the NFL now in just one division. So along with the NFC North, I believe the AFC West is going to be the second or first most competitive division in the NFL now. So it's going to be a great division to watch, a very entertaining division. And I believe that Pete Carroll, with the cap space that he has to work with his GM and the draft picks that they have, that they're going to be able to turn around this thing fast. The Raiders have $92.5 million in available cap space. That's second to the New England Patriots. And I believe that Pete Carroll is going to want to address the offensive line. He's going to want to address the defense. And I believe that the Raiders picked 6th overall in this draft. They're not going to draft a quarterback. I believe they're going to address defense early in the draft. And they're going to sign a free agent quarterback. I believe there's pretty much only two options that the Raiders can go after. There's either a reunion with Russell Wilson and Pete Carroll. They can sign him to a 1-year deal. Try to win now. Russell Wilson obviously has experience. He led Pittsburgh to the playoffs this past season. I believe that he'll step in, have command of the offense. He knows Pete Carroll's offense, obviously. And the second option, I believe, is Justin Fields, who I believe makes a lot of sense to the Raiders. He's a young, talented quarterback with a bunch of experience under his belt, and he's not going to demand a lot of money, and they can build an elite roster around him, given the cap space and the draft picks that they have. And I believe that the Raiders will also address running back early in this draft. Pete Carroll's identity in Seattle was running the football with Marshawn Lynch. I believe he's going to want a Marshawn Lynch type prospect in this draft, and I believe they will address that. The Raiders are not going to enter 2025 with either Alexander Madison or Amir Abdullah as their RB1 heading into 2025. It's just not going to happen. They're going to draft a bell cow heading into this draft. They're going to address that, and they have Colton Miller, they have Jackson Powers-Johnson. They have already a couple pieces on that offensive line. They're like 1 or 2 additions away from becoming a competent unit. They have Jacoby Myers, and obviously they have Brock Bowers, who already has an argument. He's in the discussion for already a top 3, top 2 tight end in the NFL. So they have that weapon on offense that they got in the first round last season. So now they're going to build the offense around Brock and whatever running back that they draft early in the 2nd or 3rd round of this draft. They have Max Crosby. They have talent on the defensive line. They can build it around Max Crosby, create an elite pass rush. They have a good secondary. They have the money to bring in players in the linebacking core and in the secondary. So I believe that if they bring in either Russ or Justin Fields, they can be a competitive team in 2025. And I believe that this hire is very similar to Jim Harbaugh last season with the Chargers. The Chargers had a horrible 2023 season. They brought in Jim Harbaugh. He completely turned their defense around, turned them from one of the last ranked defenses in the NFL in 2023 to the #1 scoring defense in 2024. And I believe Pete Carroll has the ability to do the same thing with the Raiders. And there's a lot of encouraging signs for the Raiders heading into 2025, including their schedule. They're going to be playing a last place schedule, which means they're going to get easier opponents. And I believe that they'll capitalize on those easy opponents and they'll get wins under their belt. And I believe the one concern for the Raiders is, like I said previously, the division they play in. They play with the Chiefs, the Broncos, and the Chargers, in which all 3 teams made the playoffs last season, just like how the Bears are in a division with their 3 opponents, their 3 divisional opponents all making the playoffs last season. The Raiders are in the same scenario. So that's going to be their #1 competition, is getting wins against their divisional opponents. And I believe if they can get at least 2 or 3, then they have a pretty decent shot at competing for a wildcard spot in 2025. And that's why I'm grading this a B+. You bring in an experienced head coach, a coach who has ambition, who wants to win, who's going to create a defensive culture, bring in a veteran quarterback, let him operate the offense. not turn the ball over, establish an elite running game, great defense, and just like that, the Raiders are back to winning ways in 2025, as early as 2025, and they can rebuild this thing for a while. And maybe they draft a quarterback in the second or third round to sit behind whoever they draft, whether it's whoever they pick up in free agency, whether it's Russ or Justin Fields. They draft a guy in the second or third round. Maybe a guy like Jackson Dart in the second round is who they bring in to sit behind them and learn. But I believe that Pete Carroll has the ability to turn around this organization as quick as this upcoming season. And it's a big offseason for the Raiders. They have a lot of money to spend, a lot of draft picks, and it's going to be very interesting to see what they do with this cap space and the picks. And I believe that Pete Carroll is going to capitalize on this cap space and the draft picks. They're going to draft well. They're going to create a great defense and a great running game, and they will compete in 2025 again. And that is it for this video. Stay tuned, as I'll be releasing my Saints hire of Kellen Moore tomorrow, and I'll see you guys next time.